Welcome back to Larry and Maddie Live right here on My Michigan TV. It's Michigan's new and only streaming service that covers all of Michigan all the time. You can watch Larry and Maddie Live each weekday on the My Michigan TV app, which is free to download on your smart TV and mobile device.
So we are just a week away from Tax Day. This year it was pushed back a little to April 18th, but if you're one of the few who is lucky enough to get a big tax return and are wondering what to do with that money, our next guest is here to help. Joining us now is Dewey Steffen, CEO and Chief Investment Officer for Great Lakes Wealth. Dewey, thanks so much for joining us today.
Larry, Maddie, great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
So if people do receive a tax refund this year, what do you recommend most people do with that? Because I know the instinct is probably to, hey, let's buy something, let's spend it.
Yeah, sure. Well, it depends on the situation, but first and foremost, pay off any debts that you have that are outstanding, especially any debts that are, over 5% in interest. Absolutely, credit cards, you want to service that debt or retire that debt. So before you worry about investing or splurging on that, that vacation or that object, make sure you're responsible and pay off some of those bills or that big debt.
So, Dewey, these are very strange economic times that we're in right now. Unemployment is low, inflation is high, the stock market was very high but has backtracked recently. How do you explain exactly what's going on?
Well, it's called the economic model and the business model. So this happens. It's happened before. It will happen again. So we're just in a different time than we're used to over the last 10 plus years. But it's certainly a time that investment professionals or anyone out there cannot just survive, but thrive. You just need to be responsible and understand what you're doing and why you're doing it.
So, Dewey, I would like to think of myself as a younger girl, especially the younger component of Larry and Maddie Live here. Recent post-grad, so this is my first full-time job. How do you recommend a person such as myself begin investing for the future?
Sure. Well, for anyone out there listening, whether they're just out of school and this is their first, trip around the sun, as they say, or if you're just getting ready for retirement and you've been doing this your whole life, the first thing you do is you need to have a plan. So Maddie, make yourself a plan and make sure it's a plan for you, not for Larry or anybody else. Okay. And so that's where you need to have your goals, your wants, and your wishes. But ultimately, again, understand what it is you are trying to do, whether that's pay off debt. If you're right out of school, maybe you have debt. If it's maybe save up to get your first home or condo, or again, whatever else it might be. So as we always say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah, my dad says that a lot. Failure, what is it? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. It's almost, I got a little bit of a shock there because he says that to me so often. But just a quick question, Dewey, for one of those first steps in investing. Investing, I feel like right now, a lot of people, can do it pretty easily. But for me, I've never really taken my own personal money, invested it. Do you have any first steps, easy things to do, places to look when you're first looking to invest some money into, the stock market or something else like that?
Sure, absolutely. And I bet you could even ask your father that, or Larry. I bet you he's got some tricks there also. But it is very simple. And it just takes a plan, like I said. But the first and simplest would be with your employer. They probably have a 401k or 403b, depending on the institution that the person works at. So the easiest thing to do is to sign up for and invest in your company's retirement plan. And in that case, you have money that comes out of your pay every few weeks. And over a lifetime, $100 a week is $400 a month. You do that for 10 years or 20 years, I guarantee with a very minimal rate of return, you'll have over $1 million when you're ready to retire. So it's really small steps that over a long period of time, it's called compounding, will make you, wealthy, where you need to be.
So, Dewey, I'm interested in investing in an IRA, and there's always that inevitable question of, do you get a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA? And I've had it explained to me, but I still think I'm a little confused on it. And who should invest in which type of IRA?
Okay, well, if it's an IRA outside of your 401k or 403b, if it's on your own personal, your individual retirement account, then the rules actually tell you whether you can do a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, and that's based on your income. So there's an income bracket and a phase out for this conversation that's about 140,000 of a single person. So if you make more than 140,000 single, you can't even do a Roth. But if you make less than that, and then the numbers, are almost double that for being married. But please check with your tax preparer or online for the actual exact numbers in the phase out. But to answer your question, Larry, if you qualify for a Roth, almost always it's beneficial for you to do that because the tax is free later. You forego a deduction now, but a lot of people won't even get a deduction now. So Larry, without knowing your specific situation, if you did a traditional IRA now, you probably don't get a tax deduction. You would just get tax deferred growth. But if you could do a Roth IRA, it's also not tax deductible, but it's tax-free growth. So that's very important. Hopefully we understand that. Number two, if it is inside of your company plan, most plans these days do have a Roth contribution option, and it doesn't matter what your wage scale is. Any employee would be eligible for that. And in that case, we say, no matter who you are, what you are, you also should consider the Roth option first. You don't get a deduction on your payroll, so that is a situation, but you also will have tax-free growth. And if you happen to be one of those people making over 140 or double that for married, you can't do it outside, but you can inside. So that's a very specific, opportunity for all people listening, watching, to take advantage of. And the final thing that I'll say about it is we also use something general for your 401k or 403b. If you're 50 years or under, it usually makes sense even to forego the tax break of your payroll. So 50 and under should pretty much always consider the Roth, even inside their company plan. If you're 60 and over, sometimes the tax benefits won't, catch up to you, so maybe not worth it. And then the 50 to 60-year-olds, that's where you got to talk to a financial professional or your tax preparer and let them help you out. Hopefully that makes some sense.
Yes, it does. But let me ask you this. So if you are you participating in the retirement plan through your place of work, but you wanted to get investments outside of that, would you recommend going through that company that is participating in your retirement, or go outside and do, or does it make any difference? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it depends on the specific situation, but a lot of times the 401ks and 403bs, those are through group plans that are actually done through insurance companies. And so in that case, you may not be able to get direct access for your own personal. Most of the time we say go and do your own thing individually and on your own. If you're just starting out, maybe like Maddie is, you can go to Robinhood, you can go to Charles Schwab, you can go to Fidelity, you can go to what's called a discount broker, you can go to an online place to do it. If you're just starting out and have smaller investment amounts, that would be a good way to kind of get started. But when you're talking 50,000, 100,000 or more, then we would certainly say it would make sense to find a professional, whether it's here at Great Lakes Wealth or in your own town or wherever it might be. Seek out a professional to help you. As you said, start this interview. It's unprecedented times in the last 10 years anyway, so you better have someone who knows what they're talking about to help you.
So we did reference the stock market for many reasons. It's kind of been down lately. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has had an effect on it. So what would be your advice for those who are thinking of investing in stocks right now?
Yeah, we're really excited. And at Great Lakes Wealth, we also have a podcast. So I'll give a little plug to our podcast here. It's called What Do We Do? And we have an episode out every 2 weeks. Yeah, right. So, but with that, we've talked about what to do, the playbook for 22. We came out in January and said what you should do. We have a lot of updates. We have over 55 episodes. But to answer your question, there's some very simple strategies that you have to follow. One is you have to be patient and don't panic. The other one is maybe you do what's called dollar cost average. Figure out how much you want to put into the market and divide it over the next 12 months or so. That way you're buying a little bit at a time and you'll get fully invested. And the reason I would say that is because this year is going to be volatile. It's up and down. The stock market started the year dropping over 10%. And then in the last month, it came back up, 5, almost 10%. At the same time, oil is up. Gold is up, bonds are down. So very simple strategies. Another one is to buy dividend-paying stocks. The other one is to be diversified. So don't just have tech stocks. So again, I could go on and on, but I'll take a breath and see if you have any more questions.
Well, one of the things that I was interested about was cryptocurrency. So it seems like it's all the rage lately. I feel like it's kind of almost come out of nowhere in the past couple of years, but even some professional athletes have been receiving part of their salaries in crypto. Can you give us an overview on how cryptocurrency works? And is it an investing tool that you push your clients into?
Sure. So for this interview, we cannot get all the way into the weeds, but I will again give a plug to the podcast. We've done 2 episodes on cryptocurrency. We also run a digital asset strategy here, Maddie, and that's actually the technical term for the category. It's called digital assets. And so in this day and age, we do think it's important. It's not a currency in the normal sense from our perspective. So it's a different asset class. It's more of just a speculative investment, but absolutely, it's an alternative to investing. It started in early 2009, actually, at less than 1 cent a coin, and now it's 40,000 a coin in a Bitcoin. It was up to 60,000 a coin. So there's volatility. There's a lot to talk about it, but it certainly is an alternative investment. It has some value. It's not necessarily a monetary unit of exchange. You can't really go, to 7-Eleven or, down the street and, spend it the same way you can a dollar, but you absolutely can transact in crypto and Bitcoin. So again, it's a longer conversation, but it's definitely a viable alternative to traditional investing. And in the general sense, we recommend anybody out there maybe should put between 1% and 5% of their portfolio into it. We would say start with Bitcoin. The second one would be Ethereum. But beyond that, again, Maddie, your generation starts the other way. They put 5% in regular stocks and 95% in crypto. There's these things called Doge coins, all kinds of other things called meme coins. So again, we would recommend to kind of take a step back and a different approach.
And Dewey, as we wrap up here, will you give our viewers some more information on how they can find your podcast and how they can contact you and find you online on social media?
Sure, I appreciate that opportunity. So GreatLakesWealth.us is our website, and we have a ton of free calculators, white papers, videos, so a lot of educational tools. Great Lakes Wealth, our mission is to provide Wall Street solutions with Main Street values for our clients and the communities we serve. So we offer a lot of free information out there. We're happy to be leaders and partners in our community. So we also launched this podcast during the pandemic. It is called What Do We Do? We have leaders in the community on the podcast. I'll let the viewers go ahead and look and see who we've had on. We've had some international stars. We've had some local celebrities. And so with that, you can find that on YouTube, also Spotify, Apple iTunes. And then, we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. Hey, we're actually, as of last week, on TikTok a little bit.
Oh, boy.
We're even going to start that. So we believe in sharing a message, and whatever platform we can use to help our community, it makes us all better. So we're happy to be here, and we're happy to help.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Dewey. We appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks again for having me.
Thanks, Dewey. So we're going to take a quick break here on Larry and Maddie Live on My Michigan TV, the show where you come for the guests and stay for me and Maddie. And after this break, we'll be talking to Carrie Doman, founder and CEO of Little Guy Detroit. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with her after this break.
You can join us here live weekdays 1 to 2 p.m. on mymytv.com as well as the My Michigan TV app. So download those and check out some of the live shows as well as the archived content produced here at My Michigan TV.